Hey guys, back again with another video. This time a video response, actually. Haven't done one of these in a while. To my good buddy Leo, the Funny Nerd. He did a video talking about his favorite games this generation. Each one, his favorite game for each system that's currently out this generation. I thought it was a really cool video, and that's something I haven't done, actually. So I thought it'd be a cool kind of discussion video to kind of break up all the reviews I've been doing. And this is going to be just a quick video, like unedited. I'm not going to put in any gameplay or anything like that. Show some of the games. But yeah, it's just I just wanted to quickly get this video out there. Unfortunately, I just don't really have the time to really spend editing my videos lately. So yeah, I'll admit I'm kind of getting lazy with my videos, but oh well, I at least want to put something out there on the channel. But yeah, where should we start with this as far as the different systems go? We'll start with the systems that I actually don't own. We'll start with Xbox One. I don't have an Xbox One, and I'm never going to get one. I have no interest in that system. Especially now that every game they're putting out on the Xbox One is also going to be out on the PC. Microsoft's got this cool ecosystem going on where, in a lot of instances, if you buy a game on the Xbox One, you're going to get it on the PC as well. It's actually really cool. I really appreciate the effort that they're putting out there, but at the same time, it means that I'm never going to get an Xbox One. Because, like, I would only get an Xbox One if there's a bunch of exclusive games that I can't get anywhere else that I really want to play. You know, we had Scalebound coming out. Unfortunately, now it's canceled. I was really looking forward to that, but you would have been able to play that on PC. So when I look at the Xbox One library, I have to basically choose a game that's also on PC or some game that never actually got a PC release. So I'm cheating a little bit with this one because I'm actually going to choose Rare Replay, and I did actually get to play this at a friend's place that he had an Xbox One and this game. And this was always the one of the few reasons I wanted to get an Xbox One. And this was, of course, before they announced the whole PC thing that they have going on. And I did play a majority of this at my friend's place, but if this came out on PC, I would buy it in an instant. I love Rare games. I loved pretty much all their games on the N64. I like a lot of their Super Nintendo games. Even some of the hidden NES gems that they put out. Their later output wasn't very good. Like Perfect Dark Zero is fucking terrible. It's really a shame what happened to them, but their early stuff is so good. And that compilation is really fucking cool. I love all like the different details they put into it. As far as like the menus go, they have like all this footage from like games that they never released in there. A lot of like bonus content that you're unlocking. You have all like the achievements. They have like this cool achievement system thrown in there as well. A lot of the games have like better controls because you're actually playing on a 360 controller. They have the remaster of Perfect Dark on there, which like really made that game far more playable, and that game really holds up, especially if you play that version of it. Jet Force Gemini, they released like a patch for the controls that made that game far more playable. Yeah, it's a great compilation. There's not really much missing from there. The only games really are the Donkey Kong Country games, which I can understand. Nintendo obviously owns that property, but yeah, as far as all the Xbox One games go, I decided to cheat a bit, and I had to pick a Rare Replay. Okay, next up we're going to talk about the PC, and yeah, I'm going to try to pick a game that's basically exclusive to PC that you can't play anywhere else, and this is an easy choice for me. A lot of you are probably expecting this. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and that of course is Undertale. A game like a lot of people are really wanting this to come to other platforms, and I sure hope it does eventually, because I feel like a lot of people have still missed out on this game, and it's such a shame because, like, fuck, man, this game is just an absolute masterpiece. Like, I've talked about this game long enough. I don't want this video to go on too long, but one of those games that makes perfect use of video games as a storytelling medium. The music it's my favorite soundtrack of all time. Like, the music is absolutely incredible. Very emotional game. It's got a really innovative battle system. Like, the characters and the writing are absolutely hilarious, but at the same time, like, a lot of the writing is I think it's clever, but it's really emotional as well at the same time. I've talked about this game way too much already. If you want to hear extended thoughts, I have like a review on it. I've mentioned it in my top games of all time video. Yeah, this is my, I believe, it's my second favorite game of all time. Dark Souls is the only game I put above it. And even then, some days I actually think that Undertale is my favorite game. It's one of those games I always like. Anytime I hear music from it, it just gets me. It almost gets me emotional in a way. I almost have like this nostalgic attachment to it. Like I'm always gonna remember that first time I finished that game and the ending of that game. Man, yeah, one of those just absolutely incredible games that you can really only play on PC. You can play it on Mac too as well, but I really do hope it comes to more systems because I feel like a lot of people haven't yet played it. A lot of people that are huge fans of the games that it's inspired by, like Earthbound and things like that. But yeah, Undertale is definitely my favorite PC game this generation. Okay, so the next console is one I don't own. Of course, we're talking about the Switch. But I've looked at all the games that have been released on it, and I can almost guarantee you that my favorite game on that system would be The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Of course, I've got it on Wii U, but, I mean, it's the same game. I mean, obviously the resolution would be a little better on the Switch, and the frame rate would be better, but generally it's the same game. And looking at the rest of the games that are out on that system at the moment, I can almost guarantee you that this would be my favorite if I did have a Switch, and I did play it on the Switch. Yeah, incredible game. I know I was pretty negative on this game in my review. There's a lot to criticize with this game, I feel, and I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I really did enjoy this game. I mean, I put like over 70 hours into it. I couldn't put this game down. I was absolutely and completely engrossed with this game and its world. That, you know, I have a lot of, drawbacks with this game, but that world is just absolutely stellar. The sense of exploration and discovery, it's just unmatched as far as open world games go. And I do think it still ends up being one of the better Zelda games. It really gets that exploration down, and yeah, I definitely had a great time with this game, despite all my criticisms. And I'll tell you right now, this game is going to rank high in my Game of the Year list. Like, it's still definitely one of my favorite games of the year. I don't think this game is like the masterpiece that so many are claiming it is, but at the same time, I definitely loved the experience on the whole. Okay, next up we've got the 3DS, and man, this system has been going strong for so long now. It's actually crazy, the library of games that this handheld has. A lot of great games. It didn't take too much thinking, though, to come up with my favorite, and this is a game that you can get on other platforms, but it's definitely the game on 3DS I've enjoyed the most. Although I think you might be expecting another game, though. Now, I actually don't own this game anymore. I did, unfortunately, for whatever reason, I traded it in. I need to get it again, but I do have some examples, and you'll be able to tell what the game is. Of course, we've got the original 999 on the DS here, and there's a compilation that came out recently, the Nonary Games, that has this, a better version of this game. That definitely seems to be the ideal way to play this game if you haven't. And then we have Zero Time Dilemma on the Vita. You can also get this on the 3DS. This game is actually disappointing to me, but I've talked about this game in previous videos already. But yeah, the game in question is Zero Escape: Virtue's Last Reward. And when I first played this game, I actually hit a game-breaking bug 13 hours in, and I had to restart the entire game. And that kind of soured my experience overall, and it's what made the game rank at like number 5 or something in my Game of the Year list of that year. But I've actually looked back more fondly on this game over time. It's my favorite visual novel of all time. I think the storytelling in this game is absolutely incredible. Again, like with Undertale, it's one of those games, I love games like this that fully take advantage of the medium and can't be done in any other way. You can't, this could not be done as a book or a movie. It just can't. And I love games like that. Some really fascinating characters. It's really dark and gritty. I love being able to jump through the timelines. This game is far more accessible than 999 is. You don't have to do a lot of repeat garbage. I like the puzzles a lot better in this one as well. And yeah, it's just one of those games that I'm always going to look fondly back on. The atmosphere is absolutely incredible. The soundtrack is really eerie and moody. It's got one of my favorite stories in a video game. Absolutely mind-blowing at times. So yeah, it was honestly kind of disappointing that Zero Time Dilemma didn't fully capitalize on this game, but I definitely need to get it again. I'm going to get that Notary Games collection because you can get that game in there as well. I would highly recommend that for people that haven't played this, but yeah, you might think Shin Megami Tensei 4 would have been my favorite 3DS game, and it's definitely like my second favorite, but I feel like Virtue's Last Reward has kind of overtaken it in the past few years, because Virtue's Last Reward, it's always one of those games that I look back on and I'm like, fuck, man, that's so good. And it's telling that I lost 13 hours of progress, yet I still went back to the game and redid it all. I actually didn't mind that much. Like, that's how much I loved that game. In most cases, I'd be just like, fuck it, I'm not playing that again, or at least not for a few years. But honestly, only like a month later, I came back to it. But if I did that list again of the top 10 games, I forget which year it came out in, but it would have been #1 for sure. Fantastic game, really highly recommend it. But yeah, that would be my favorite 3DS game. And I guess we should move on to the Vita, actually. I like the Vita. I think I spend more time playing older games on it, like PlayStation 1 games and PSP games. Like, it has a very niche genre of game, library of games. A lot of like really niche Japanese visual novels and JRPGs, the kind of games that I am not too into. There's a lot of compile heart garbage on there. There's a lot of like, what are those games called? Like those visual novels that are aimed for women. I don't know. There's a lot of games on the Vita that just are not appealing to me whatsoever. There are definitely some hidden gems on there. But yeah, most games that come out on Vita, I'm kind of like, not for me. But there was one niche Japanese game in particular that really spoke to me, and I absolutely love this series. And we're talking about Danganronpa. Yeah, one of my favorite visual novels for sure. I loved the whole kind of murder mystery type angle this has, and you know, figuring out who's doing all like these murders. You have like this really mind-bending like story, and the Danganronpa 2 is pretty much a direct continuation of this game. So you might as well lump both games in. But I'm gonna pick the first game in particular because this is the one that started it all. This is the one that got me obsessed with this series. Really great music. The presentation is absolutely fantastic in these games. Some really memorable characters. Monokuma is just like this great character. And then we're getting the third one pretty soon, actually. Although it's not really the third one. I don't know. It's weird. But the new Danganronpa, we're getting it soon on PS4. I think it comes out in September. Is it for other systems too? I think it's just PS4. But yeah, can't wait for that. I really love this series. It's weird. It's definitely a really strange kind of series. And if you look at it, it might seem a little too crazy, but give it a chance. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by this one. It definitely really caught me by surprise. I was not expecting to like it near as much as I did. As far as visual novels go, I still prefer like the Zero Escape games, and I hope. Oh my god, if this new Danganronpa game is a disappointment like Zero Time Dilemma was, that's going to be a huge bummer. But we'll see. But yeah, I really, really love the Danganronpa games, and this is definitely my favorite game on the Vita, by a significant margin, actually. And you can only get it on Vita? No, it's PC. There is a PC release. I feel like, and yeah, PS4, it came out recently. There was like a collection on PS4, I believe. So yeah, a lot of ways to play this excellent game now. Okay, and then we're going to move on to PS4 now. And this is probably not going to be a surprise to anyone as well. I played this game very recently, and we're talking about Persona 5. Yeah, already I can safely say this is the best game on the PS4. This is already in my top 10 favorite games of all time. It's probably like my third favorite game of all time. This game is an absolute masterpiece. It's one of the best JRPGs ever made. I loved everything about this game. This game took me like 95 hours to finish, and I enjoyed every single second of it. Like, what is there to say that I haven't said already? Absolutely incredible dungeons. Love the characters. It's one of those games where you feel sad at the end because you're going to miss the time spent with all these characters. Fantastic soundtrack. The stylish presentation is just top notch. It's everything about this game. The battle system, the fast-paced, excellent battle system, the Persona fusing system. Just fuck, man. There's really not much about this game that I didn't like. It really. It's one of those games I'm definitely going to come back to in the future. And yeah, I've played a lot of PS4 games, and I think Bloodborne was probably my favorite for a long time, but this has eclipsed it. This is absolutely a fantastic game. It's my game of the year so far, and I don't think it's going to be beaten. Don't be surprised when I do my top 10 games of the year, and this is number 1. I don't know. Nier Automata is very close, though. That game is incredible as well. That's another game that I would almost pretty much consider a masterpiece as well, and that's actually close to being one of my favorite PS4 games. I love the PS4, actually. I think there's a lot of fantastic games on the PS4, and this generation in general has been quite stellar. This year in particular, 2017, we had 3 games in a row that I'd call some of the best I've ever played, because I had played Nier, Zelda, and Persona 5 back-to-back, and that was just some of the best times in video games I've had ever. Like, that is just, man, like, the hours spent on all those 3 games, and how much I enjoyed all 3 is pretty spectacular. But, yeah, Persona 5, definitely my favorite game on the PS4, and my favorite PS4 game this generation. And then one more system, that's it, and then we're going to end the video. And this was the toughest one for me to choose. There's a lot of great games on the Wii U. And the Wii U is actually pretty much dead now. It's pretty much not a current generation system anymore. But yeah, there were a lot of games I could have chosen for my favorite. It was really tough with this one. But I really thought about it, and I decided to go with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. A lot of you are probably maybe expecting Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I fucking love that game. Like, it's one of my favorite JRPGs of this generation, but at the same time, there was a lot about that game that I didn't like so much, even though I was utterly addicted to that game. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, however, is probably the best side-scrolling platformer of the last 15 years. Like, it's absolutely incredible, and it's probably Retro Studios' best game. And it's also one of the best sequels that I've played. Donkey Kong Country Returns, I thought, was an enjoyable game, but there was a lot I hated about it. For instance, like dying one hit on the minecart and rocket barrel levels was just absolutely aggravating for how hard those levels were. And in this, they reduced the amount of them, and then they gave you 2 hit points. Which is like, it's like they understood my complaints with the original game. Any complaint I had with the original game was fixed with this one. It looks absolutely beautiful. I actually, a lot of people don't like the control scheme and the way the characters handle in this game. I actually really like it. I like the sense of momentum that these games have and the physics that they have. The level design is absolutely terrific. It's near perfect level design. The way it builds, and then the variety of these levels and the variety of obstacles. And then if you want 100% the game, it's really challenging. But one of the things I really appreciate about this game, as someone that's been playing these types of games for a long time, ever since I was a kid, is that this game is not afraid to challenge you. This game is quite difficult, and I fucking loved that. Retro Studios knew that the original Donkey Kong Country games, they were well loved because they had a great challenge to them that never felt unfair. A very satisfying challenge, and they brought that with this game. It's got a really satisfying challenge, and then if you really want to test yourself, try to get 100% in this game. I've never done it. That is an insane level of challenge that I couldn't even do. Cranky Kong was a great character because he's got like the DuckTales type stab move. Dixie Kong is, of course, fantastic in this game as well. The bosses in this I thought were much better than in Donkey Kong Country Returns. Yeah, the music. David Wise came to compose the music, the composer for Donkey Kong Country 2, and it's just utterly fantastic, the music and just the sense of atmosphere that it provides. The 2-player mode is fun. Make sure your companion is equally skilled at the game, though, or else you're going to have a bad time. You're going to be losing like all your lives really fast, because this game is even harder in 2-player mode. But yeah, looking at all the Wii U games, I looked at this and I was like, you know what? that's like the best side-scrolling platform of the past like 10 to 15 years. I have to give it to Donkey Kong. That is my favorite game. It was tough though, because like Super Mario 3D World is fantastic. I actually almost 100%ed that game, which I never do. I only do that if I absolutely love a game. Of course, Blade X, like I mentioned. Bayonetta 2 is fantastic. Leo mentioned that in his video. Really great character action game. Wonderful 101 is like the most unique game on the system. It couldn't be done on any other console. And I feel like people just kind of brushed that one to the side for some reason. I think it's one of Platinum's best games. Really terrific game, that one is. The Wii U Tokyo Mirage Sessions is also really good. Breath of the Wild, like I mentioned before. I know the Wii U gets a lot of shit, but honestly, there's a lot of games on that system I consider some of the best ever made. And a lot of these games you can't get on any other system. Like Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, you can only play this on the Wii U. I do hope a lot of these games do come to the Switch, because I feel like a lot of people missed out on like classics, like this one, for instance. But yeah, that's it, guys. Those are some of my favorite games this generation. Of course, there's a lot more, but I wanted to stick to the video that Leo did and kind of just pick one per system. I thought that would be a little more difficult. But what are some of your guys' favorite games this generation? What are your favorite consoles this generation? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.